Let's start with the sorting today. So we have various types of sorts, right? So let's take one of the sort today. Let's start with selection sort. So you have any idea how selection sort works? See. Okay. So what selection sort is that I call it as a nail sort. That the first number, no, will it's like we'll have a hammer and nail at the first number, and we will compare that first number with all the numbers. Okay. So if I have 5, 4, 3, and let's say 2, I want to sort these numbers in ascending order. Okay. So what selection sort does is, which is the first unsorted element? First unsorted element is this, right? This 5 is the first unsorted element. So if I put a mark on the first unsorted element is 5. So we'll compare this with all the numbers. Okay, so 5 will compare with 4. Is 5 greater than 4? So if the ahead number is greater, then you swap. And what you're comparing, you will swap that only. So what are we comparing? 5 and 4. So we'll swap 5 and 4. Okay. Remaining numbers are at their original place. Now you will compare 4 with 3. The first position will be compared with all the positions. Now is the number in front greater than, now 4 and 3. Is 4 greater than 3? So you will swap. So 3 comes at 4's place and 4 goes at 3's place. And the other two numbers are as it is. 5 as it is and 2 as it is. Then what will we compare? 3 with 2. Is 3 greater than 2? Is 3 greater than 2? So 2 comes here and 3 comes here. Okay? And the remaining numbers at their original place. 5 at 5 and 4 at 4. Okay, making sense? So now no more to check. So your first number has sorted. The first position you have got the smallest number, right? This is the end of iteration 1. This is the end of iteration. Now which numbers are need to be sorted now? So you copy them and carry them forward to the next iteration. So you will carry them forward to the next iteration. Okay, and as we are using selection sort, I'll hammer a nail where? At the first unsorted element, which is that 5, right? So now you compare this position with everyone. So now you compare 5 with 4. Do you need to sort it? So what happens? 4 comes here and 5 comes here, correct? 3 as it is. Then what will you compare now? You have to swap. Yes. 3 comes here, 4 comes here, and 5 in the center. Now the iteration completes. So your second iteration has completed. And my second number has been sorted, which is 3. Now what do I have to sort? 5 and 4. 5 and 4, compare 5 with 4. So we have to swap. So 4 comes here and 5 comes here, right? Now no more comparison. So my third number also has taken its place. Now which is the number which is should be sorted now? This is the end of my third iteration. End of my, now which number I have to sort? 5. There are no more comparisons. The loop will terminate and I will get the number 5. So now if I arrange them in their indexes, what have I got? 2, 3, 4 and 5. This is the sorted outcome, right? This sort is called as selection sort. So here you will have two for loops. You will have how many for loops? The outer for loop and the inner for loop. So the outer for loop will keep the count of iterations. Will keep the count of. So how many iterations do we have to sort 4 numbers? How many iterations did we have? Let me show you. So to sort 4 numbers, we had, this is iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3 and iteration. How many iterations will we have? 4, right? So you can start, run a for loop which run 4 times. So I equals to 1, I equal to 1, I less than equal to 4 and I plus plus, correct? So outer for loop, what will the outer for loop contain? Will run the for the count of, outer for loop will run for the count of iterations, right? The current is back. I'll stop my hotspot. No. I've stopped, just swapped my hotspot. Okay. So for the count of iterations, so the number of iteration we'll have, for that when you count, the outer for loop will run. Okay. So the size of the array, those many iterations you will have. So what is the size of the array over here? So I am having how many iterations? 4. And the inner for loop will be for the count of swapping, for the count of comparison. Count of comparison. So in the first iteration, how many comparison am I having? In the first iteration, how many comparisons are we having? 3, right? So how do we run a loop? And in the second iteration, then what will you logic will you apply then now? So now if here, okay, instead of having, okay, my first number which I want to sort it as a 0 index, right? So let my I start with 0 rather. Start with where? So I have to remove the equal to then, correct? I have to go 4 times, yes or no? So I will have to go 4 times. So now how, and now in the first iteration, how many comparisons we have? So I am comparing which element with which element? Which index with which index am I comparing? In the first iteration, first comparison. First iteration, first comparison. I'm talking of this. I'm talking of this. This, which two numbers am I comparing? Which is an index 0 and index 1. So 0 is with whom? So J should have 1. Okay, in the next iteration, when my I becomes 1, right? I becomes 1 over here. So this, this entire iteration I is 0. I 0 for entire. Now here the I becomes 1. So here when the I becomes 1, means I will go at 5. Where will J go at? I is at 1, no? So if I is at 0, if I is at 0, J is at, if I is at 1, J is at, when I is at 2, J is at, so where is J? Getting? So J will be I plus 1. And now what? J will also go less than 4. So how many time will this loop run? 3 times, right? Okay, now when I becomes 1, I becomes 1. So J will become, so 2 less than 4 means 2 times, 2 and 3, correct? And when I becomes 2, J will become 3. Is 3 less than 4? Only one time this will compare, right? And when I becomes 3, J becomes, is 4 less than 4? So 0 comparisons. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So you got where should you initialize I and where should you initialize J? You got it. So now what will we compare? The element at the I index and element at the J index, correct? If ARR of I is greater than ARR of, and what you compare, you swap only those, right? So when I compare 5 and 4, I swap 5 and 4. When I compare 4 and 3, I swap 4 and 3, correct? You know the logic of swapping? You put in temp. Have you done swapping? Do you remember the logic of swapping? See, if I have two students, A and B, this is student A and this is student B. A is having a marker in his hand and B is having a pen in his hand. And I want to swap that A should have a pen and B should have a marker, right? But one time you can touch only one object. At any given point of time, you can touch only one object. You cannot touch more than one object. So how will they swap? So I will bring a third person called as temp. The third student. What is the third student's name? Temp. So whatever is in A will give it to temp. A will give it to. Now A's hand is empty. Whatever is in B will be given to A. And then whatever is in temp will be given to. So that is we have swapped. So what we are doing over here, whatever is in ARR of I will go into temp. So what has gone into temp? 5 has gone into temp, and then whatever is in ARR of J will go into ARR of I. So A has given to temp. Now B will give to A, correct? A will go to ARR of I, and then temp will give to whom? Temp will give to whom? Okay, so this swapping will only happen when this condition is true. That's all. If closes inner for loop, outer for loop. So what we are doing over here is we are comparing the element at the I and the j index. What is the value of I and what is the value of j in the first iteration? I and j. Okay. So I is 0 and j is 1, right? So element at index I, is it greater than element at index j? Is 5 greater than 4? So put the 5 in temp, put the 4 in at 5 and put the temp in j. Okay. So I get this. I get 4 and 5. And 3 and 2 get carried forward from top. Now after this iteration, what is the value of j? J moves, right? So my no I is the outer for loop, no? So I has the nail has been hit on I, right? I was here and J was here. So now when this swapping has been done, now where will J go to? J will come here, and now again you will compare 0 index with 2 index, but now 0 index is what? After swapping 0 index, 4 is the 0 index, correct? So now 4 with 3. Is 4 greater than 3? So swap them. So 3 comes here, 4 comes here. And again now J comes over here. Now 3 with 2. Is it greater? So 2 comes here, 3 comes here. And now when J exceeds less than 4, loop will break. Okay, and next then my array will be 2, 5, 4, 3. Then next time I will increment, I becomes 1 over I comes to index 1. J is one step ahead of I. Are you getting this? So like this, you have to do this selection sort. So now let's do a program to understand this better. You got the concept in my screen? So let's try to run this. Okay. So better let's try to type it in Notepad++, and then we will try to run it over here. So what do we require first? Hash include. Okay, now we will take an array. Okay, and I will just directly initialize the array 7, 4, 9, 3 random numbers. Okay, then we require I, j, and temp. Okay, first we will display the array before sorting. So we can say printf /n before sorting /n and display the array. So how will we display that? I equal to 0, I less than 4, I plus plus, correct? then as it is printf percentage d with a slash t and display ARR of I. So this is the array before sorting. Now let's sort it. How will we sort it? For I equals to 0. Okay. I equal to 0, I less than 4, I plus plus for j equal to 1, j less than, and then what are we comparing? If the element at I index is greater than element at, then what will we do? Put the element at I index in temp, put the element at j index in I, and put the element in temp at j index, right? So once it closes, okay, and then we can display the entire array after sorting also. And then we will close the main, copy, and I go back here, okay, and I paste, and I try to run the code, and we'll check the output. Okay, before sorting. Okay, this is the which sorting, ascending or descending. What if I want to do descending? Change this to less than. Change this to, okay. This is which sort? This is which sort? Selection sort. Which sort is this? Now let's try to do bubble sort. Any idea what bubble sort is? Yes, am I audible to you? Let's take these numbers and do bubble sort. Am I audible? I just lost connection. So I'll just take these numbers again and we'll do a bubble sort on it. So where is my paint?
So I can't see your screen, sir.
Yeah, I'm sharing it. Now can you see? Still not able to see? Maybe it's buffering.
Yeah, yes, sir.
My internet is a bit unstable. Now you can see, right?
I can see.
Okay. So if you are doing bubble sort, this will move like a wave. It will move like a wave in the forward direction, like how a wave moves. So first, what will you compare? Sorting. The ahead number, the number toward the left is greater, right? So you will sort. You will swap. So 4 becomes here and 7 comes here, right? 3 and sit original place. 9 and 3 at the original place. Now what you will compare is, compare 7 with 9 then. What will you compare? Now you will move ahead like a bubble. So do you need to swap? Do we need to swap? No, the number towards the left is smaller, no? Swap and the number towards the left is greater. Is 7 greater than 9? No, then no need to swap. Then keep it as it is. So 7, 9, no swapping. Okay. Then what will you compare now? You need to swap. So what happens? 4 at its place, 7 at its place, and 3 and 9 will swap. So with this, what happens is the biggest number is swapped out. Biggest number is there at the end. So now what has we've got 9, right? This was which iteration? Iteration 1, right? Now, now what are the unsorted numbers? So again you will now come from which index? Again you will come with the 0 index. Again you will come from the 0 index. So 4 with 7 need to swap. So it will be as it is, right? 4 and 7 as it is, and 7 also at original place, right? The next, what will you compare to swap? So 4 over here and 3 and 7 over here. So with this, what happens is I get the second largest number. This is the end of iteration 2. So now what I have to sort now 4 and to compare 4 and 3. So now always comparison will start again from the 0 index, right? In your bubble sort. So now 4 and 3, do I have to sort them? It becomes what? 3 and 4. Now no more numbers are there. So this becomes your third iteration. And now go to the last iteration. Which number you have now? 3. Anything to compare with? No need to compare anything. So I get then output as 3, 4, 7, 9. Correct? After swapping, the numbers are 3, 4, 7, and 9. Got it? Now, how many iterations are we having? Like, say 4 iterations, right? Iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, and iteration. So, your outer for loop will run for the type of iterations, correct? So, for I equals to 0, I less than 4, and I plus plus, correct? And an inner for loop for the number of comparisons. So in the first iteration, how many comparisons? But the comparison always starts with 0, right? In every iteration. Here also compare 0 with 1, here also 0 with 1, here also 0 with 1. So your J also will start with 0. And your J in the first iteration, how many comparisons are we making? 3. How will you make this loop go till 3? So you will say size minus 1, size minus, okay, size minus 1, and the second iteration will go how many times? 2 times. second iteration will run 2 times, right? And third iteration will run, and fourth iteration will run. So what I will do is, in every iteration, this I will increment, right, after. So what I will do is, I will minus the value of I also over here. So in the first iteration, what is the value of I? 0, right? So it will go from where? 0 to size minus 1, which is how much? 0 to less than 3. 0 to less than 3 means j will go from where to where? 0, 1, 2. Less than 3, no, it is not less than equal to 3. So you are doing 4 minus 1 minus I, which is what? 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 minus I is 0, correct? So 4 minus 3 minus I means becomes what? 4 minus 1 minus I becomes 3, because the value of I is 0, correct? So start from 0, go to less than 3 means how many iterations? 0, 1, 2. Start from 0 and go till less than 3. So start from 0 and less than 3 means what? 0, 1 and 2, correct? Because 3 is equal to 3. This will run, so when I is 0, j will run 3 times. So in the first iteration, 3 comparisons, okay? Now I becomes 1, I becomes 1. J will become what? 4 minus 1 minus I. So what is it? 4 minus 1 is 3. And 3 minus 1 is 2. So start from 0 and go till less than 2. Start from 0 and go till less than 2 means what? 0 and 1. 2 comparisons. And when now I becomes 2. 4 minus 1 minus 2 is how much? 2 is 1. Here it becomes 4 minus 1 minus 1 because minus I, right? So is equals to 1, equals to what? 4 minus 1 minus 1 is 2. So start from 0, go to less than 2. Now here is what? Start from 0 and go to less than 1 means only once. And now when I becomes 3, what is it? 4 minus 1 minus 3, how much? 0. So start at 0 and go to less than 0 means it will not go any time. It will be null. So when I is 0, the j will go 3 times. When I is 1, j will go 2 times. When I is 2, j will go once. And when I become 3, go 0 times. Correct? So this is where your I is and your j is starting from 0, this. So now what are we comparing in every iteration? J and its neighbor, correct? J and its neighbor. When j comes here, j and its neighbor. When j comes here, j and its neighbor. When j again comes back over here, j and its neighbor, j and its neighbor. So we are comparing j and j plus 1. What are we comparing? J and j plus 1. We are comparing. So what will you compare? If the ARR of j is greater than ARR of, and what you compare you will swap. Whatever you compare you will, what are we comparing in selection sort? ARR of I greater than ARR of j, right? So we are swapping I and j. Yeah, what are we comparing? J with, so whatever you compare you will swap. What happens is, what will I put in temp? ARR of j. Then what will I put in ARR of j plus 1? J plus 1 will go in j, right? And then temp will go in closed and the for loop closes, right? So this is all what changes we have to make, and your selection sort will turn into bubble sort. Okay. So screen. This is your notepad screen. So this will run 4 times, and this will always come back to 0, and it will go less than the size minus 1 minus I. And then what will you compare and what will you swap? Whatever we will compare, we will swap, right? So I'll pick this up from the paint. So no need, this bracket is not required. So if AR of j is greater than AR of j plus 1, AR of j goes into temp, j plus j, temp goes into this. If closes, then the two for loop closes, and then after swapping also will display. Correct? So now let's copy this and run it in Notepad. So you should get the output. Got it? And what if I wanted descending order then? Change the signature. Right? So these are the two types of sorting. Then have you heard of insertion sort? What does that do? And how does it like? Mhm. See what insertion does is, so if I have insertion array, no, you use the logic of sorting the elements when we are playing cards. Okay, let's say when we are playing Uno, and this person has got these 7 cards, or these 5 cards has been distributed, and one person gets these 5 cards, and this is the order in which he has got them. Okay, let's say card number 7, card number 2, card number 5, card number 4 and 6. Random order he has got the cards. So how will he arrange these cards in his hand? So he will pick one card, the first card, and put it in his hand. So this card he has got in his hand, right? Was first card. Okay. Yes. Am I audible? Yes, Aryan. Am I audible to you? Hello. Yes, am I audible to you, Aryan? Hello. Now these cards which are in the table, these cards which are on the table, I want to put these cards in my palm, on my palm. So I normally sort it and keep it, right? So when we put the cards on the palm, we normally have it sorted. So if you're keeping them in the palm like this, we have them sorted in the order, right? We don't just put it generally in any order. So if I am having putting them in my palm, I'll sort this. So this will become 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So I'll have the card 2, 4, like this, 5, 6 and 7. So how do I place the cards sorted from the table onto my palm? This is what linear search, this insertion sort is all about. So what happens is the first card I take, so let's say we take a variable k, okay, so I and j we are familiar, right? We have been using I and j in selection and bubble, so let's use k over here. Okay, so the first card I will not tally with any card, I will directly pick the first card and put it on my palm. So which card is in my palm now currently? So this is my palm, okay. So directly I will put that card over here. So that will directly come as the first card in my hand. First, then we need to compare the first card. Now the comparison will start from which card? The second card. The comparison will start from the second card, right? Whether to put it towards the left or put it towards the right. So where will 2 go? Towards the left or towards the right? Yes. Now how do we do that? Now how do we do that? That is what we have to understand. Where 2 will go. So जल्दी आ जाओ क्लास चालू जल्दी आ जाओ. So now, which card are we picking up from the table now? 2. So put that card in the temp variable. So I'll have a card variable called temp. That temp will hold the card which I am picking up from the table. So which card am I picking from the table? I'm picking up the card number which is at the key index. Which is at which index? So this card now goes into temp. So far so good. Okay. And I will have a variable, okay, which will mark the border, okay, of my hand, the end of my hand I will mark this, okay. So this will be the my end of the palm. I'll put a border, okay. So what is in K now? K is having 1, right? So I'll have a, well, let's say variable called j, okay, and your j will have k minus 1. What will the j have? From where we will compare. Your j will have the cards from where we have to start the comparison. So from where do you have to start the comparison from? Start comparison with 7, right? With the one which is in the palm, right? It is at which index? The I pick up the first card from the table and put it in my palm. That card at which index? So So now my comparison starting from which index? I have to start the comparison from the jth index. From which index? So what will be the value of j in the first iteration? So what is the value of k? 1. So what will j become? J will have 0. Okay, so let's try to understand this. Only the first iteration is a bit tricky over here. Rest falls into place. So what is in temp and what is in j? Okay. So j is from which number you have to start the comparison from. Okay. Okay. Now till I don't reach the end of my palm, I have one number, right? I have one card. So you will run a loop while my j is greater than or equal to 0. J is what? Okay. And the card which I have picked is less than or equal to the j ARR of j. So let's try to understand this logic. Now I have one card to compare with. So j is greater than or equal to 0. It is equal to 0. So this will lead to true. And there's an AND operator over here, means both should be true for this operation to happen. So the second is what? The temp. What is in the temp now? Two. Is 2 less than or equal to ARR of j? ARR of 7. True. So that means the card which I have picked should go on the left hand side. So I will shift this towards the right by 1 in my palm. So what I will do? Yes, then we'll shift. No, again we'll check. So now what have you done over here? Whatever is at whatever was at the ARR of j index, that card has gone to ARR of j plus 1. We are now shifting towards the right. So where has that card gone to? The card which was at ARR of j has gone to j plus 1, means the card at 0 index has gone to 1 index, and now my j will decrement. J will have to go till the end of my palm. I have to go till the end of my palm. So j decrement. So what does j become now? J becomes what? J was 0, right? So j becomes minus 1. So j becomes now minus 1. So it has crossed the palm. What is this index, right? This is your minus 1 index. It has crossed my palm. So now when the loop again goes, this will become false. So when in AND any one becomes false, the loop becomes false. And now I will put the temp at this index, right? Which I have picked from the table, I'll put it over here in this checkered place. That is which index? That is which index? Which index number? 0, 1, 2, 3, what? 0. So how do I get 0? What is the value of j? J. What is the value of j? Now new value. Then the loop terminated. So I put that at j plus 1. What do I put it? Put the new card at ARR of j plus 1. You put the new card. Which is the new card? and you will put that when the while loop closes. You will put that when the while loop. So what was that temp? Temp at 2, right? So put 2 where, what is minus 1 plus 1? 0. So your 2 comes over here. Understood? And now what you will do is your k will increment. Your k will, all this is there in a for loop. All this is there in a for loop. All this is there in a, and your k will start from which index? 1 index, because 0th index is already sorted, right? 7 is already sorted. So it will start from k less than the number of cards, right? And k plus plus. So this all will be within a, so this while will be within a for. This while will be within a for. And each time what we will be do, first thing, whatever is at the k index, put it in temp. Whatever is at the, in this for loop, whatever is at the k index, put it where? In the temp. So now which card do I have to place? 5, because k has incremented, right? Has incremented. So k has come over here. So now which is the, now you'll get this logic better. Now what is the ARR of k? That is the card I want to place in my hand now. So that goes into temp. Okay, so this, understood this? Okay, and now what to do? Initialize the j to minus 1. What is the j initialized to where? K minus 1. Initialize when k was 1, j was initialized to 0. So now what is the value of j? J will have 1 now. Okay, so this all will be removed. And now what will j have? So j means from where the comparison will count, will start. So now start comparing from the first index, right? Now I will compare 5 with 7, right? So from where my comparison will start, my j will be that. So now I am comparing 5 with which card in my hand? I'll compare 5 with 7. So so the maximum, so j will be the maximum index on my palm. What is j? Will be the max index on. So what is the maximum index on palm? So if I have picked the 2 cards, one is my maximum index, correct? That's why your j is k minus 1. Now check, is j greater than 0? Is 1 greater than 0? Yes. And what is in temp? True. Both are true. So move this towards the right. Move this towards the right by 1. Right. So what happens is the ARR of j goes to, so whatever was ARR of j, it goes to the j plus 1 index, right? And now I have to compare it with 2 also. Now compare 5 with 2. So now I will decrement the j. I will decrement the j. So j becomes 0. Again this while loop will go up. Is 0 greater than equal to 0? And is temp, that is 5, less than or equal to 2? No. So where to put this 5? At, the loop will break, right? So put the temp at, the j was 0, right? Put it where? Me? Oh, getting? And again go up, then now k again increments by 1. So k comes where? 3. And where will your, now which is the card I want to put on my palm? So that goes into temp. And now I have to compare from which card onwards? What is the maximum index on my palm? 2. So j becomes 2, right? And now what to do is the Now, is j greater than 0? Is 2 greater than equal to 0? Yes. And is temp is 4 less than equal to 7? So shift this 7 towards the right by 1 and decrement the j, and j becomes what? 1. Now, is 1 greater than equal to 0? And is 4 less than equal to 5? Is 4 less than equal to 5? Hello? You there? So this is the code for your insertion sort. Okay. So your k starts from 1, goes in less than 4, and whatever is in the k element goes in temp, j initialized to -1, and then you will check for this condition and then do the shifting, and once the shifting is over, you will put the temp at the j plus 1 index. Okay. Okay then. So